What's up, guys? Today we're checking out the newest addition to Zion's shoe line, the Jordan Zion 3, and I have some thoughts about this one. Let's do it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we got a little bit of a new backdrop going on here, so we moved to a new spot. Let me know what you think about this setup down in the comments. But like I just said, today we are here to check out the newest addition to Zion's shoe line, the Jordan Zion 3, and we're going to be breaking these down from all the different performance aspects, looking at the cushion, the traction, the support, just basically everything you need to know about this basketball shoe before you buy it. And this is a shoe that I have been excited to cover because this is one of those shoe lines I've been able to start off it with the one, and I've played in all three iterations of Zion's shoe line, and I definitely have some things to say about this one. But the first thing I always like to talk about is just the price, and that's one of the negatives to kind of start off with this shoe. So Zion's shoe line, starting it off with Jordan brand, was pretty affordable. I want to say it was kind of in that $120 range. I think that's what the first two retailed for. These already took a little bit of a price jump. You're going to be looking at $140 for the Jordan Zion 3. That's not too expensive whenever it comes to, you know, a signature shoe line. That's honestly more so middle of the pack. Jordan also kind of has more of that reputation for being kind of a higher end brand whenever it comes to, you know, the options out there. I'm not going to name them just to throw shade or anything like that, but Jordan, very well reputable brand. So nothing too crazy, but a $20 price jump, that's something to take note of. So 140 bucks, still not too bad. Then the next thing I do want to touch on is just the design of these. And I'm not going to lie, whenever it comes to this shoe, that might be my favorite part about it. And that's not really setting us up for the most positive review, but really that's just more so saying I really like the design that they gave to this Zion 3. The side of the shoe kind of has this cool, I don't even know what the pattern is that you would call it, but one thing I got to note out, or at least shout out, is the colorway. This is like the fresh paint that's supposed to pay homage to, like, I think it's the Air Jordan 4 Cement colorway, where you got like the speckled midsole, the white, gray, and red theme. The design of this shoe, especially the colorway for this shoe, is just super nice. But I like some of the touches that they put on this. They didn't go over the top, but they got Zion's logo kind of on the heel for these. I mean, I'm also like kind of prone to low top shoes. That's really, you know, where I spend most of the type of model that I spend most of my time playing in. So I really do like the design for these. The appearance is honestly really nothing to nitpick at there. So now we'll move on to actually breaking down this shoe. And that's where we'll start to see some of the areas where I think that it maybe could have played a little bit better. So we'll start off with the cushion, and these are going to be using some Formula 23 foam. That's what has been used in a lot of Jordan basketball shoes lately. So normally I know Luka's line's using that. That plays pretty well. I believe you also have some Nike Air going on in there as well. I got to say this though, this shoe, I believe the Formula 23 is supposed to kind of help facilitate keeping you lower to the ground. These give you that feel. They almost give you a little bit too much of that feel. Like, this feels like a pretty flat shoe, at least my first few times playing in it. That's kind of like the vibe that I was getting from it. You don't have, you know, as much spring or as much padding underneath the forefoot. And like I said, I've played in all three versions of Zion's, from Zion's like shoe line. And the ones, honestly, those came out the gate. I was super impressed with those. The Zion 1, really liked playing in that model. The Zion 2, there were some things that I didn't love. And honestly, it didn't have much to do with the cushioning. It was a little bit more stiff underfoot. Call it like responsive if you want to. It wasn't quite as, like, you know, pillowy or, you know, different feels like that. Like the Mellow Ball 3, you don't get that like very cushioned, kind of dense feel underfoot. This is more responsive, and honestly, it's, you know, arguably a little bit too responsive. I feel like Zion's not really gonna love that necessarily too. I mean, Zion's just a bigger dude, you know, he plays a very explosive game. Thought they might have done a little bit more to just add some more layers of cushioning underneath your like kind of the footbed. Not really the most comfortable whenever it comes to that. Even whenever you talk about like the surrounding parts of the upper, we can kind of more transition into like the upper and like, you know, how the shoe feels for support and stuff like that. The upper has like this canvas design that doesn't have a lot of like padding as well. Like, that's just kind of what I felt from this shoe. I wouldn't consider it or classify it is like an overly padded shoe, from like even under the foot, even in the surrounding parts. The top of it almost looks like a cowboy boot. Like, that's the way I describe it, because it really is just, that's a good thing when it comes to support. Honestly, it's not a great thing whenever it comes to comfort. I don't feel like they left a lot of room to be able to like reinforce it with a bunch of cushion and stuff in there. Not the end of the world, not the biggest deal, but I will say cushion, whenever you're talking about his first two lines, even the Zion 2s last year, slightly more responsive, but they almost had like what do you call it, like some like a trampoline in the forefoot. They definitely put some extra padding, like that double layered kind of springy, that springy feel in the forefoot. You don't get that as much in this Zion 3 model, but for the upper, the support is honestly one of the highlights of this model, I guess you would have to say, because for a low top model, you don't get like really any shifting of your foot, you know, trying to get heel slippage out of the back. Didn't have any struggles with that. And honestly, your foot doesn't even really move whenever you're going like talking about lateral containment. It's honestly reinforced really well. But the thing is, this shoe hugs your foot like crazy. I'll go ahead and talk about like the sizing right now. Like this is, I went true to size. I had a hard time getting my foot in the shoe, and I just didn't really struggle with that as much on the last few models. What they did on the Zion 2s is like kind of around the sock liner and stuff, they put some extra like kind of padding in there, like Achilles pads to kind of, and I thought that they overdid it. On the Zion 2s, I thought they overdid it and like almost made them too thick where it was uncomfortable. Like I didn't really love that as much. But for the Zion 3, they took that out, but I mean, they just made I mean, you can look at it straight on. This is a narrow shoe. It kind of looks like a KD model with how his shoes kind of tend to run on the more narrow side. And then we just bring it back to Zion again. I don't feel like he needs that narrow of a shoe. That could just be me. Maybe he has a more narrow foot than I'm imagining. I've never seen his feet, but I'm just saying, like, it hugs your foot a lot. The sizing for the length, I mean, it's pretty standard, but I would almost argue go a half size up if you end up liking this model or you want to test it out, just because like they don't give you a lot whenever it comes to the width. You almost gotta work to get your foot in there. It doesn't bother me too much, but honestly, I don't have that wide of a foot, so I'm just trying to put that out there just for you guys to know. So the fit, it was a little bit off in my opinion, but the support, like I was saying, really from all my movements, doing any type of hard cuts, step backs, anything like that, didn't have any like movement to the upper. But I mean, now we'll go ahead and leave all that behind. What I guess I will say, one thing I do like is with being a low top model, that's going to help, but this is a lighter shoe. People tend to like lighter models. I don't know why you would want to necessarily play in a heavier shoe, but it does run on the lighter side. That is definitely something to put in the plus category for this model. And that kind of brings us to the traction. And that's arguably, you know, maybe the selling point for this model. The pattern you can kind of see there, it's just going to be kind of that traditional herringbone look, and that typically tends to be very successful. The Zion 2s, honestly, I didn't feel grip to 4 maybe quite as well as the Zion 1s, but neither was bad. I would say the same thing about the 3s. Like, they're not going to be bad. I feel like just the way that whatever the consistency is of this outsole maybe picks up a little dust a little bit quicker than what I noticed on the other 2 models that I play in. If you've been playing in Zion's line, kind of following along with that, these do feel like they pick up some dust a little bit quicker than you'd maybe like to see. But I mean, the traction is not going to be like a bad point. It's just not going to be anything that's going to like blow you away. Not to like pump them up again, but the Mellow Ball 3, those have got like some of the top tier traction that I've played in. These are going to be, you know, at least a tier down from that, maybe 2. But that kind of brings us to the end of the review, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp these with a letter grade of a C-. If we just go with the C, we'll call it a C. I mean, this shoe for 140 bucks, like I said, there's some stuff to like, especially the size, not the size, I don't know about the size, especially like the weight of the shoe. And we're also talking about, you know, you're getting good support for a low top model. 140 bucks, that's not super expensive, but at the same time, I kind of factor in the price jump. I personally did like, you know, the playing experience from the 1s and the 2s a little bit more than the Zion 3. I just feel like this is almost, I don't want to say all the way out of left field, but it doesn't really line up with how his shoe line had been going, in my opinion. Like, they tried with something different, and, you know, shoe lines are going to do that. Like the LeBron 20s compared to the 19, 18, 17s, those like that, the LeBron 20s was like a whole different shoe. This right here, the Zion 3, on their 3rd model, I feel like they switched some stuff up. It surprises me that this is the model they ended up going with for Zion, because I know he was super involved in his first shoe that was created. I watched the podcast on him kind of talking the breakdown for that. This shoe, hopefully he likes it. I'm not gonna say I'm not a fan, but at the same time, there are some things with it that, you know, I'm just not the biggest fan of, but it's not bad at all. But I mean, make sure down in the comments, you guys let me know if you played in the Zion 3, what you think about it. And then also let me know down below what shoe you guys want to see next. But that's gonna wrap up the shoe review on the Jordan Zion 3. Till next time, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.